For decades, humans have been trying to discover if Mars has ever had any form of life. In February of this year, NASA's Perseverance rover safely landed on Mars, intending to unearth the hidden information about Mars. However, previously there have been another 48 not-so-successful expeditions to Mars where some shocking things were discovered about the red planet. Join me as I take you through everything we've discovered on Mars. Number 7. Missions of the Past. The first free-moving rover on Mars, dubbed Sojourner, was launched by NASA in 1996 as part of the Mars Pathfinder project. The rover's Spirit and Opportunity, which explored the planet for far longer than predicted and returned more than 100,000 photographs until their solar panels were damaged by dust storms in the 2010s, were its successors. 2 NASA spacecraft are currently operational on the Martian surface. InSight is studying the planet's interior and has already discovered that there are Marsquakes that rock the planet's surface regularly. The Curiosity rover, which first landed in Gale Crater in 2012, is currently roaming the crater, taking bizarre selfies and investigating the rocks and sediments deposited in the ancient lake bed. Number 6. Mission 2020. So the goal of NASA's Mars 2020 mission is to look for signs of microbial life that scientists believe may have existed on Mars 3 billion years ago, when conditions were likely very similar to those on Earth. Now, if the mission's a success, the technical insights gathered will help to pave the path for future manned missions to Mars. The rover has only been on the surface for a little more than 100 days, but it has already discovered a lot. Nonetheless, data was obtained from the landing process itself for one particularly critical proof of concept. The missions, which were all new to rain relative navigation, employed cutting-edge onboard mapping and onboard camera information to locate the Perseverance landing zone within a few meters. It was no small effort, given that even a tiny overshoot would have put the rover in jeopardy. Number 5. The process. It took weeks of hard traveling to get to where it needed to be, and this information will be extremely useful in future missions. During entrance and landing, 3 types of sensors were used to capture data on temperatures and outside pressure before and after the iconic parachute was deployed: thermocouples, heat flux sensors, and pressure transducers. One potentially significant finding was that every single thermocouple made it through the landing unscathed, implying that heat shield damage was minor. And because thermocouples aren't mission critical, future landers may be able to get away with a smaller heat shield, allowing all crucial weight to be safely deposited on the Martian surface. Since then, Perseverance has been blasting rocks with its magnificent space laser, much like we would if we were in its shoes. The rover's new Jezero crater home is peppered with light-colored boulders staring out from a landscape of russet brown soil, as you can see in the photographs returned from Mars. The Perseverance SuperCam has singled out certain of these objects for extra attention. The SuperCam approaches its target stone, fires a tiny pinpoint laser that can be accurate up to 7 meters away, and when that intense beam hits the rock, it creates a superheated cloud of plasma that contains free-floating ions and electrons for a limited period of time. Perseverance has an onboard spectrograph that then can scan the brief plasma signature and determine the rock's chemical composition. Mars and Ego are 2 rock types that scientists have recognized as deserving of the SuperCam treatment. It turns out that the composition of Mars is basalt-like. They're igneous, which means they came from a volcano. But more importantly, it appears that they were shaped into their current shape in some long-ago watery habitats. Now, if proof were needed that Mars wasn't always in such a dry state, here it is. Number 4. Harbor Seal Rock. The Harbor Seal is the name given to another notable rock, Perseverance, which is poured over. NASA believes that the natural erosion of fierce northwesterly winds shaped it into the sinuous lightness of that lively marine carnival. This study backs with previous weather forecasting for the Martian atmosphere. As a result, it's both a genuine and relevant data point for researchers and a pretty attractive one. Number 3. The amazing SuperCam. The SuperCam not only allows Perseverance to share visual clues of the mineral composition of rocks, but through the sound of the zapping sci-fi laser, it also provides acoustic clues on the composition of stones. One of the most remarkable elements of this mission thus far is that, owing to Perseverance's internal battery of microphones, anyone on Earth may listen in on the Martian landscape. Aside from the sound of the laser, NASA also releasing an audio track of the rover's heavy metal wheels clanging and pounding through the hard, rocky Martian landscape, as well as the weird ambient saturation of the otherworldly winds, which can be heard online. It's mesmerizing. Even more mesmerizing, Perseverance's marvelous MOXIE unit that had done alchemy by converting basic CO2 into life-giving oxygen. MOXIE, which stands for Mars Oxygen In Situ Resource Utilization Experiment, is a gold-plated gizmo about the size of a car battery. It functions by diffusing CO2 from the atmosphere through a non-porous stabilized zirconia disc placed between two porous electrodes. The MOXIE is the first device to manufacture oxygen in another world, paving the stage for humanity to conquer the galaxy. It's also the first of its type, allowing future expeditions to live off the land by utilizing parts of another world's nature as fuel. This is referred to as in situ resource utilization by engineers. This essentially entails exploiting local CO2 to produce oxygen. While it is challenging to transport large volumes of oxygen from the Earth for future manned expeditions, MOXIE has addressed this concern with its ability to produce oxygen on alien surfaces using a larger descendant unit. Number 2. Meet Jenny. Of course, the successful deployment of NASA's $80 million Ingenuity helicopter, fondly known as Jenny, has been the most eye-catching aspect of this mission thus far. Wait until you hear what you're about to learn. So Percy is the nickname for Perseverance. Only a few months ago, the tiny helicopter earned its place in science by making the first powered flight on another planet. It's a marvel that it made it through the journey at all, and we would have achieved a couple of major milestones even if Ingenuity had crashed after the first flight. A NASA technician told Reddit users, surviving launch charging while on the way, entry, descent, and landing, as well as deploying from the rover and surviving the frigid Martian night. These are all significant responsibilities. Making an airworthy vehicle small enough to be packed on an interplanetary rover is also an incredible feat, and it lays the possibility for future missions to explore locations where rovers aren't suited. Engineers are collecting data from this one-of-a-kind thin air copter right now, intending to use it to create clever micro-drives or drones that fly at high altitude for uses on Earth. The solar panels installed near Jenny's rotor blades were one particularly striking scientific observation. Engineers spent a long time trying to figure out how to keep the panels from attracting and losing power as a result of the inevitable coating of Mars dust. Various alternatives, such as small windscreen wipers, were pitched and rejected due to their complexity and weight. When the rotors started rotating, though, technicians discovered Jenny's solar output jumped by a few percentage points. Engineers assuming that this is because the blade's airflow self-clean the dirty solar panels. Even on Mars, being clean is important. Number 1. The curious case of missing water. Small planets cool quickly, and it's long been assumed that Mars' core has largely crystallized, but not completely. This means Mars' protective magnetic field, which deflects cosmic radiation, has mostly vanished. However, scientists believe Mars originally had an ocean that contained water in the form that we know it. The temperature was above freezing and the weather conducive to living. Now, because the magnetic field was stripped away early in Mars history, this ocean is long gone and the average temperature is now minus 65 degrees Celsius. Yet, frost, clouds, and ice caps still exist. The Curiosity rover landed near a 3-mile-high mountain of sedimentary rock as a part of NASA's Mars Science Laboratory mission. It observed that the oldest rocks were at the bottom, younger rocks on top, and each layer representing a record of the environment at a specific time, similar to the Grand Canyon on Earth. Curiosity could see bands in the rock that are the remnants of millimeter-thick layers of muck that settled out in the lakes, even though the lakes have been long gone. Curiosity also finding that ancient Mars had enough carbon in the rocks and soils to serve as raw material for life, if it ever existed. It found that the lake bed rocks in the Gale crater had a diversity of organic molecules that could be fragments of more complex organic molecules that degraded over billions of years. So together, these missions have demonstrated to scientists that Mars is a live planet with all of the ingredients necessary for life as we know it: water, organic carbon, and a source of energy. The question now is if life ever evolved on Mars, and if so, is it still present? So what do you think? Which of these discoveries amazed you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe and like us. I'll see you on the channel next time. Until then, it's goodbye.